Okay, we're back at the Sage code, and my goal here is to get you to look at the code and try to reason through the code that we're giving you. All right. So the problem for a lot of students is look at this thing and say, well, I can type that in, but I have no idea what I'm typing in. And everyone's guilty of this. By the way, sometimes I'll copy code. Like for example, let's say I have trouble with my computer and I want to do some command line entries, and I say I don't know which the right one is. I search in the internet and I look for something that's going to help me out with it, and then I copy paste code. All right. Now sometimes I copy paste code without understanding it, and that's dangerous because sometimes I can be entering something that could actually damage my computer, especially when I'm using something like a super user's account. I got to be careful. Now, I'm not going to say this is the case with this problem over here. This is not going to hurt your computer. All right. We're just using Sage. Right. The goal here, though, is that I don't want to be blind doing this stuff. What I want to do is make sure it's not the code we're looking at, it's the problems we're looking at. So over here, I want to point out, if I'm looking at this problem over here, it's the problem above it. It's this one over here. So I'm going to claim over here, what I'm looking at is I'm looking at a problem, reading it. I have to read that, understand the problem. Sometimes I can be confused by it, and I do make mistakes. And this is part of the reason why we give you this, this blue area with the answers in it and the work in it. But your goal here is not to look and say, oh, gee, this guy did a great job because he's the teacher. Your job is to read this on your own and be able to formulate what the math would look like, right? Now, I'm going to say it looks like this over here, right? This is what it looks like, all right? You'd have to be able to read that and know that. But once we get this over here, my claim is getting this over here is really simple. What's difficult? Formulating this problem, reading it and writing down what the integration is. That's where most students struggle with this stuff here, all right? This stuff over here is kind of trivial to manipulate this to get an antiderivative and then evaluate the derivative between those numbers. Now, granted, these numbers might be nasty for you, but believe it or not, they're not that bad. Here's the deal, though. I look at this thing, I can manipulate this, I can get this number over here. What I have a tough time with it, I'll be honest with you. I'd have a tough time doing the decimal arithmetic of this over there. And the reason for that is I don't enjoy doing this. I wouldn't enjoy taking the root of 3. I wouldn't then multiplying by 15, then dividing by 8, and then dividing by pi. I just wouldn't enjoy doing that, right? I'm able to approximate it and say, roughly this number, that number, but I don't enjoy doing that. And that's where really a computer excels at. But listen, if you go back to the Sage code, that's all I did over here. So if you were to run the Sage code, let me go over that with you. And if someone says, well, I'm just going to run a Sage code because it's so easy to do that and it requires no talent whatsoever. And you're right about it. This takes no talent whatsoever to type. And I hate to say this, the people aren't paying people to type anymore. It used to be a skill. And I'm getting tired already. Copy paste. Copy paste took over the typist, right? Got this. Then I'll do this over here. Someone says, I have no idea what I'm typing in, but I'll type it in anyway. And then I'll put this over here. Again, someone says, claim I have no idea what I'm typing in. And they get this. Where they get the same number they got over here. Let me just review what we did over here. I reset, clean sheet of paper for Sage, so to speak. I got a variable t. I told what the function of this was. I wrote it down for you. It's 18 plus 5 times the cosine, pi times t divided by 12. Then what I do, I did the average value. That's all I've done. And the average value of that function on the interval from 8 to 24. So it's 1 over 24 minus 8. Integrate the function t with respect to t between 8 and 24. Pretty easy to write down. I can do that. And the reason I can do that, I understand how to formulate the problem, all right? Here's the deal, though. Make sure you do this on paper first before you start writing things down in Sage, right? It's so important. Paper and pencil. Then you go to Sage, all right? And by the way, you probably shouldn't be going to Sage for problems that are easy. You should be going to Sage for problems that are difficult, all right? Thank you.